Hello, everyone, dear viewers. Welcome to this very special stream of Astronaut the Best for LudoNarraCon. I'm joined by Mike and David. Hello, Mike and David.
Hi there.
Hello.
Lead designers of Astronaut the Best, which is a occult management adventure about using hard work, lies, and witchcraft to overcome roguelite obstacles and win the space race. We will be playing a very special LudoNarraCon demo. Could you describe what's in the demo that we'll be playing today and that players can play until May 11th?
Sure. So we have two missions available for this demo. I'll tab over to the game here so that I can kind of demonstrate. We have our tutorial, Earning Your Wings, which kind of explains the premise and who you are and what's going on. But that's not what we're going to be showing today. Today we're going to be showing our all-new, never-before-seen mission that we're debuting here at LudoNarraCon, which is called Prestige Drama, which is about a very different problem for the space program to be working with.
Awesome. Well, before we jump in, just a reminder for everyone, the demo is public for now. You're welcome to jump in before May 11th, and you're welcome to join the Discord, follow us on Twitter, and of course wishlist us on Steam for future updates. So without further ado, let's jump in.
All right. Yeah, so this being the mission that's not the tutorial, we'll be coming in hot a little bit here. So we'll try to explain things a little bit as we're going without making it too explainy. And, you know, since we want to kind of provide dev commentary, we're not going to do the dramatically voice acting every line thing here. But suffice it to say that in this scene, you know, this astronaut and this dapper man are very upset about why humanity had to go to space, where they discovered the horrible secret of space wolves, which are, you know, apparently wolves in space that have vague mind powers, and oh my god, there's one now. So, you know, it's gonna end on kind of
well...
Go ahead.
Well, we won't be voice acting. You're welcome to do that on your own. We can't stop you, nor would we want to.
Very true.
You can tell that the space wolves are very menacing with their very scary eyebrows.
Yes.
Look at the High Priest.
Yes. Fortunately, that was all just a TV show and not the actual reality that you're living in. I don't know if this one's better, but yeah. There we go.
I love the design of the High Priest. Could you maybe elaborate a little bit on... oh, we actually got a first choice that we can make. Let's take a look and make it together.
Yes. So the High Priests, they're the 5 High Priests that run your country. You know, your country is a totally modern theocracy that's, you know, run by a council of High Priests representing your country's 5 gods. So they're your bosses, and they are asking you what you thought about that television episode.
This is a serious problem, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, inside track, the High Priest of the Market does not appreciate your bluntness, but Sennott, the High Priest of the Mongoose, does appreciate you getting to the point. So many choices like that you'll make. There's no, you know, best choice or way to make everybody happy. It's just kind of choosing which of these High Priest philosophies you're aligning yourself with the most.
Could you describe a little bit about which philosophy and approach to dialogue that everyone, like all the High Priests, would resonate the most with?
Yeah, this game is... Astronaut the Best is kind of about what does leadership mean? Being in this position where you're in charge of the Space Academy, it's a lot of responsibility and you've got to make some trade-offs. So what do you think is most important? And so each of these high priests kind of represent a different approach to that. This here is Rulu, who's talking now, who's the high priest of the Great Book of Knowledge, who values information and is in charge of intelligence for Flaustria and kind of all the, I suppose propaganda and stuff, but, just kind of represents the quest for knowledge and certainty and, is kind of very calculating in that way. Let's see. Real quick, we had that pretty sweet mission map history, but for the sake of keeping things on track, we'll keep our intros going for the high priests. David, do you wanna do the next one?
Yeah. So the lady in the or let's talk about Starnet because he's talking right now. He's this guy in the red pajamas in the corner, and if you're interested enough, maybe we'll have the merch for that one day. But he's sort of military guy, like the Secretary of Defense, so to speak, and he's a mongoose or a priest of the mongoose because your enemies, the Vladikar, are snake worshippers. So he hates all things that slither and wants to protect you from that. So he's concerned with security and
Yep. And then real quick, going through the other three, we've got Cora Blanche, the High Priest of the Sun, and so she just wants you to be pure and moral in all things. She's kind of a stick in the mud, so to speak. Is all about not doing things instead of doing things for the most part, but she's honest and she is not a hypocrite, and so she isn't a total downer. Then we've got Inside Track, who's the high priest of the market and just is in charge of the Faustrian economy and always wants to do things that benefit the economy. So he's kind of a fast talking advertiser / corporate executive type. And then the newest of the high priests is Morning Dew, who recently took over as high priest of the moon, and so her domain is being in charge of life and death and the boundaries in between and all of kind of the grand existential things, but she mostly wants to be in charge of Faustrian TV and the arts and stuff, so she's kind of more into that. And so those are your 5 bosses.
It looks like we're presented with our second choice. So, I don't know, what do you think? We should sabotage the show, do some more space positivity, or PSAs? All the PSAs.
Yes. It's a tough decision. Sabotaging the show would definitely stop them from, putting their anti-space message out there, and we could also try to befriend them and work with them, and that might work out best for everybody. But, PSAs, that's just a tried and true method of just telling people what they're supposed to think. So
I learned everything I'm supposed to think from PSAs.
All right. Yeah. I think
that sounds very effective.
We'll just invest in a PSA heavy strategy for this playthrough. And then if you at home would like to pursue a different strategy, then you could do so by playing the demo. So Cora Blanche being...
Cora Blanche.
Yeah. She likes PSAs, but Starnout's worry that you're not choosing a more aggressive course of action. So kind of to summarize the dialogue a little bit, so the reason why it's such a big deal that this TV show is saying bad things about space is because your spacecraft is powered by the belief of the people. It's a magical rocket that, needs everyone in Faustria to believe in space exploration for you to fly. So this TV show is making it so that you can't fly. But luckily, these high priests have made it so that you get some inside passes to actually go onto the set of this TV show and talk with the various cast and crew. So over the course of this mission, you'll get some chances to do that and see if you can get them to change their minds or, anything else that you might want to do.
Nice. And we get weekly revenue based on how our stats are with the different high priests.
Yep.
Yeah.
How
If
much
they
they
like you
you.
more, they pay you more.
Nice. Here's
And
our
this
friend
is
Spirit.
it's a line that comes out of the flag. Leave
Yeah.
you all to
Right.
make peace with that.
It took me a minute for it to occur to me that might be something that requires explanation if somebody has not seen the tutorial. But really not too much explanation. The lion in the flag is your friend. He represents the spirit of your country, and he's rooting for the space program. So he, comes to life to be a good friend and talk with you. And it's kind of, the voice of friendship and reason in a situation where you don't really have too many other people to talk to on your same level. So in this case, the lion is recommending, because these high priests all kind of disagree on what to do about space wolves, so it's recommending that you can call one or two of them and ask them for leads, basically, for ideas of what you can start doing to help.
David, what do you think we should go with?
Well, let's see what Morning Dew has to say.
Oh yeah, she seemed to be a big fan of the show, so I'd be interested to hear her opinion. Yeah, okay, so she wants it to
Good
portray
point.
space more positively.
And romantically.
Right, yeah, exactly. Like, that seems like it would solve it. If instead of running into space monsters, we still ran into space monsters, but they were, like, hot, that would really change people's opinions about space travel. And she gives us this kind of hint that the director used to write trashy romances before he directed, like, this very fancy prestige drama. So that's a bit of information that we can use. But now we're also kind of, we've told Morning Dew that we're going to go along with her plan, so, there will be consequences either way there. Okay, any thoughts for a second opinion?
Mike, who do you think we should consult?
Oh, geez. Let's call Starnat. Because he seemed to have kind of the opposite point of view, that instead of helping the show, you should sabotage it. So, let's hear him out. Yeah, he thinks that...
I love his little arm animation.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is a good time to point out that all the art in the game was done by Julia Y. She did 100% of the art in the game, and it is all pretty great. And the animations were sort of done by no one, but they're all done by a single script that David wrote.
Yeah. Basically, they're like a very, digital form of puppets, kind of like all the limbs just kind of wobble around, and we can. It's kind of like a little kid, like shaking a doll. Pretty much, we can make them wobble more or less, and
Yeah,
they
They're
wobble
a
when they
wobble
talk.
slider.
They can. Yeah.
so everything,
Yeah, different
every
joints can
animation in
wobble
the
more than
game.
others, and-
Yep, everything in the game is just different amounts of wobbling. So yeah, all of the UI movement
Yeah.
here is all wobbling.
Yeah.
It seems like Starnat just gave us some other insider information on the exec producer.
Yes,
You see.
that's true. So yeah, he thinks we should, kind of just go for the head of the enemy army, so to speak, and just try to get the executive producer to cancel the show. Meanwhile, this thing on the screen, this is a mapestry, so it's a tapestry that's a map. And it just kind of shows you where you are in the mission, how far through it you are, and what some of the different alternate possibilities that we're presenting are. So it just kind of has some different paths that you can take, so when you're playing and replaying this mission, you can kind of see what else could have been. Some of them are kind of filled in, even though they're not lit up, because I have played through this before. I guess, spoilers, this isn't a blind playthrough for me, the designer.
I played through this as well and had some very interesting results by the end of it. So I'm excited to see how people playing the demo react to all the different...
Can you give a hint of something that you ran into?
I did go for the love triangle route. I followed Morning Dew's advice, and I will not say whether that was a success or not, but it was very interesting results.
Yeah. So we've got a few events coming up here we can see on our calendar, where we'll get a chance to network with the cast and crew of Space Wolves. But they're not coming up quite yet. And so we've got a chance to do the actual main core mechanic of the game, which is training your astronauts. So we're supposed to train them to go to space. In the full game, after you deal with this whole Space Wolves situation, you would actually go to space with your astronauts and, let them fly the ship and see what happens. But here we're kind of we also have to train them to deal with this Space Wolves thing. So we can see here that, your astronauts are supposed to advise or sabotage a TV show, and it looks like they'll need these stats. So we've got our astronauts, the 5 things that you need to be an astronaut: piloting, procedure, fitness, charm, and beauty. And it seems like for this particular task that they have ahead of them, procedure, fitness, and especially charm are all going to help. So we can start maybe training their charm a bit to start, so that they'll, it seems like they'll probably be better at networking if we train their charm. And to train them, you just kind of hold this button down. So if you just tap it a little bit, then, you'll just train them a little bit. They'll gain some experience. And if you hold it down, then they'll get more experience, but they'll also get more stress.
What happens when they get really stressed?
If they get too stressed, then they'll have a breakdown, which means that they can either get injured or they might lose stat points, both of which are pretty bad. And
really
meanwhile,
dropping some knowledge.
Yes. So there are these kind of main events that are on this mapestry that are here because of the mission that you chose. But in between, on the other days, there's a bunch of random things that can happen. And so this one is Rulu coming into your office and talking about Good Time Brudamart Portcombe. And he wants you to guarantee that Portcombe will be one of these astronauts that you'll choose for your final launch. So sure, since this is a demo and we don't actually have to do the space launch, I see no issues with just promising a bunch of people a bunch of stuff about the launch. So that makes Rulu
Good
happy.
life hack, right? Promise people everything if you don't have to deliver on it.
Yeah, right. If you can kind of skip town, or if you plan on just that day not actually getting to happen. Speaking
It's market day.
Yeah. Speaking of making the high priests happy, this is a chance to make Inside Track happy by just buying some stuff for your astronauts. So, yeah, there's a full array of items in this game, like one might expect in an RPG type thing. So we got some equipment, we got some, things that reduce their stress, and we got some, some sketchy witchcraft hexes that can change people's personalities. So yeah, we'll buy a little bit of all of this right now. Let's see. There we go. So that makes Inside Track happy.
He's very easy to please.
Yeah.
Just buy everything from him.
Mm-hmm.
But he gets mad if you don't buy anything.
Yes. Also, you may have noticed last time that these astronauts start out with different stats, and that's because of their personality traits that they have here. So Susan here has inconsequential dreams. Specifically, her lifelong ambition is to create a perfectly spherical stone called the God Pebble. So people tend people tend to like that, and it means that, she's a little detail-oriented, so it seems like a good trait that makes her stats go up. It might have some downsides, but for now it seems pretty good. Meanwhile, Good Time Burrito Mart here is under 48 inches tall, so that makes her better at piloting, because, piloting is pretty cramped in a spaceship, and it's uncomfortable if you're, too large a person, so, she's better at piloting because it's more comfortable for her, but also she's less good at some feats of physical strength. Meanwhile, here we've got Plato Dustcullen, who, when he appears on national television, he dies immediately. So given that they're going to be on a television set and giving a PSA, we might want to be aware of that particular trait.
And I see that there's some hidden traits. Could you explain how we can find those out?
Yeah, so you can find them by training the astronauts in the appropriate stats. So, doing charm training will help reveal this trait. We got a clue already. But, you can also just find out traits when they happen. So, for example, if this one was hidden and then he went on national television and died immediately, then you would know that that was a trait that he had. And if we have a really bad trait, like dying immediately on national television, we didn't actually buy that other one. Okay, well, never mind. Let's see, let's just use maybe a stress ball here.
I do just want to point out how good all the names are. There's some amazing names. Dustcullen. What was the process like for coming up with everyone's name?
It's about the dumbest way that you can imagine, just pretty much sticking syllables together.
Yeah, it was back in grad school, I studied procedural narrative and computer-generated storytelling, and as part of that, I've spent way too much time thinking about random name generators. And so what we did here is we just kind of kept it simple. All of the names are compound names, all the last names just have like a beginning and an end, and there's just like 100 different beginnings and ends that they can have. And then it just picks a first name too. But then there's actually like a bunch of random mutations that can make it somewhat different that they'll have. So, for example, sometimes they have a last name as first name, sometimes like it spells the last name using weird letters, sometimes they'll have like a nickname like Good Time Britomart, and so, you know, it's starts with it simple, but then like makes each name just a little bit weird.
We used to have the like good times turned up a little higher, but it made it a little too stupid. So we had to make them mostly fairly normal sounding names. So
Just the good time slider.
Yeah.
Even the names for the traits are great.
Oh
So there's like, I guess depending on how much you count variations, there's either just over 100 traits in the game, or there's, you know, like millions or whatever because of the procedural stuff. But yeah, there aren't really any normal traits. There aren't like traits like, you know, I can't even think of what a normal trait would be. Like good manners or
normal trait.
Yeah. Likes baseball.
There's like one where they have kids. That's probably the most normal one.
That's true. There is the has kids trait.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, so here's another random thing that's happening. I see. So one of your astronauts has accused another astronaut of cheating. So we got some options here. We can either let them work it out on their own, or punish the cheater, or punish the one who's making the accusation, or, you know, ask Rulu what actually happened.
The narc, I think.
Yeah. That sounds like maybe they would bug us less if we did this. So, okay, yeah, we can set... He's on timeout now. So, yeah, the other astronauts got a little stressed out because you just kind of arbitrarily punished him for, like, you know, bringing an accusation to you with no real, like, evidence or anything. So, you know, it didn't do great for the overall morale here. And on an unrelated note, Good Time Britomart, man, who would have foreseen that Good Time Britomart had drug issues? So it turns out this is one of those, you know, traits showing up when they happen things where she uses designer drugs called peppers that help her focus, but also, you know, cause some hallucinations. So today she's out tripping, but the days when she is here, she'll be, you know, a little better at procedure. And speaking of astronauts, it's not super hard to lose astronauts. You can definitely run out of astronauts. So the High Priest once a week will offer you a choice of new astronauts. So let's see who we've got. We've got Tamsin Griggrave, who does have kids, which does mean that she doesn't work when the weather is night. Instead, she has to go watch her kids. And then we've also got Nicholas de la Spoonbrook, who is insecure about his appearance, which means that he gets extra experience from training his beauty stat, but also when he has to work with somebody more beautiful than him, he like kind of tilts and gets thrown off his game. And then we've got Goldie Imogene Arma here.
Also, socially insecure.
Yeah, right. So you've got a lot of insecurities to choose from here. Ooh, actually, she has the zodiac sign of the loser, which is not a great zodiac sign
Not
to
good.
have. Yeah. So we can
Maybe
maybe
Goldie's out.
yeah, we can maybe go with Tamsin here. Seems like she's got a lot going on.
Truffle pie is a good one.
Yeah, a more neutral zodiac sign. So let's go with it.
Welcome to the team.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right. So the other high priests.
Still
Yeah, they don't really approve.
Still
They
on
want you
that.
to pick their candidates.
nice.
Sometimes you just can't make everyone happy, though.
Hmm.
Who has the most charm on our team at this point?
Good question. I think somebody had 8, which is pretty good. So she is going to talk about
Oh,
Plato Duscon, who has Galatea syndrome, which means that he was crafted by mud by the gods. And so, he is like unnaturally beautiful and fit, but has had a lot going on existential angst wise, which is a little distracting from space travel. So yeah, being sculpted by the gods means that she approves of Duscalon and wants you to promise to include him in your launch. But we've already promised to include one astronaut in our launch. But like we said,
we gotta.
we can just make
What is it?
Well,
Like,
like,
check this
this is-
random generator here. It seems like the priests are asking us to include a lot of astronauts in our launch.
then that's always good, because then you run into very interesting situations where you can't just promise them things for free and you have to make some tough choices. All right, yeah, so we have like one charming astronaut. We've got Susan Changlis here. So we're starting to run out of money, actually, but we can do a little bit more training. Except this guy's on timeout because he was a narc, and then Portcombe is out doing some peppers. So yeah, these two can train. That sounds great. Yeah, we also don't want them to get too stressed though, because then we wouldn't have any astronauts left.
We don't want to be broke either.
True, we now have $30, which is not the most bucks. Oh yeah, the currency is K. So it's a little, it's not like you have 32,000, you have 32K.
Well, that's ambiguous.
Yeah, it's true. Like, you might have 32K K. That's one that we'll just kind of leave up to player interpretation.
Yeah. Like, how wealthy do you want to feel?
Right. Meanwhile, something's happening that isn't just a random event, but this is one of the big mission events where you can finally go and talk to the cast and crew of Space Wolves. Just kind of meeting up for their casual game of volleyball, which is a common hobby here in Flaustria.
In LA as well.
Yeah. It's very, very glamorous hobby. So, yeah, so we've got some options. There's a lot of folks that we can talk to. Morning Dew wanted us to talk to the director about making the show more romantic. And Starnat wanted us to talk to the executive producer about canceling the show, basically.
I feel
Our
like I want to see
initial-
what the common man is doing.
Oh yeah, right. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, how could we know what is the correct thing to do without asking the common man? That's like, that's like the foundational premise of democracy. So, yeah. Okay, let's look for. All right. Good. We found a common man. All right, so what are some things we can do? We can fish for disturbing statistics about space wolves. We can figure out how to make our PSAs more effective. We can do a focus group about the idea of a trashy romance. Or we can try to talk the common man into demanding a PSA. So, it seems like none of those are like, genuinely ask the common man what they want, but, hopefully there are some good options here.
David, as someone who has learned so much from PSAs in your own life, do you feel like we should try to charm the common man to work out an angle?
Well, yeah, I mean, like, it's tough. He might not catch our drift, but it's worth a try.
Okay. Yeah, all right. Let's try to get the common man to ask for a PSA. Yes.
That's
And
pretty good odds.
Changless has a pretty high charm set because we've just been training charm a lot. So by this point, Changless is ahead of the curve and has a 95% chance to succeed at this test of charm. So let's roll the dice, which is definitely the gambling metaphor that presents itself most obviously here. All right, success. All right, so Changless is able to just ask the common man if he likes PSAs. Yeah, asks them if they want a message that tells them everything's okay and they don't need to worry about wolves. And the common man says, sign me up. Okay, so now we have stats supporting... oh, crap, I clicked a button by accident. My bad. The button I clicked was to ask the common man what they think makes an effective PSA. So this is a combination, a test of both charm and procedure. So Changless is still pretty good at this. Whew. All right, cool.
Nailed it.
Yes, we're getting good advice about making our PSA. Color red. That's good.
I've
Yeah.
literally had focus groups like that at jobs I've worked at.
So yeah, those were our two things that we could do. Maybe next time we'll try to meet a few of the other characters here.
I noticed that the weather changes every day. Could you kind of talk about that?
Yeah, of course. So, oh yeah, sorry, you can go ahead. Or did you start saying something, or what was that?
Yeah, it seems like we have landed in All Seeing Eye, the #1 source for news and entertainment.
Is that even more exciting than the weather? Yeah, okay, cool.
Hard to imagine.
Yeah, so the All Seeing Eye, yeah. So sometimes your astronauts are going to go on set at the All Seeing Eye and perform various challenges in front of the nation. But this is just kind of a news update where Ignace, the host, and Holly, the reporter, are just kind of reporting on whether anything nuts happened when you were networking with these astronauts, anything that would have been, an entertainment headline. So no entertainment headlines based on us talking to the common man. The paparazzi doesn't care too much about the common man. So now we have an interesting gameplay choice here. We can either do one of those All-Seeing Eye episodes and have our astronauts do a test on television where they'll be judged, or we can just skip that day and then do another one of the Space Wolves networking events. I think we've got, we're about 40 minutes into this hour-long stream, so we might not have enough time to do both. So, yeah, any votes on which path to take here?
Let's see what our stats are, if we even stand a chance, or if we'll make a fool of ourselves on TV.
So if we try leading a parade, we've got Portcombe decided to show up to work today, so that's cool. And we've got Grig Grave, who has kids. So they're both a little below what's recommended, but, you know, okay for leading a parade. And then things are a little more dire for this street philosophy slam. So I'd say if we do win, then leading a parade would have the best chance of succeeding.
I do notice that our stress levels are pretty high too, and I don't want to have a breakdown. So maybe resting would be the best course of action.
Yeah, I think, all right. We will leave the all-seeing eye then for you to discover on your own playthroughs. But yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, I guess the audience is just going to have to play the game for themselves if they want to be harshly judged on television.
Right, by a panel of expert judges.
Yeah. But
the High Priests tend to like us.
those challenges are tough.
Yes, they can be tough. But you know, if you train your astronauts right, then who knows? All right. Plato Duskon is a mess. Let's maybe, I don't know, her charm's pretty ahead, but other things aren't as good, so maybe we can... Ooh, but then again, if we do charm, we can learn a trait, so that seems like a good thing to do. Alright. Yeah. So charm going up, and we learned a trait, which is... Ooh, whoa. Changless is a natural concierge type who knows how to operate and make others feel accommodated.
Extremely charming.
Yeah. So all traits have upsides and downsides, so it's possible that you can get into a politeness spiral if people are too polite, like at a Seattle intersection where people are just kind of like waving the other person onwards and then nobody goes ever. But for the most part, it's pretty good. It's like an 18 charm is very good. That's a lot of charm. And yeah, got a little bit of fitness for Good Grave here.
What is it this time?
Yeah, tonight's the script read-through, so there's, you know, a little bit of time in the margins to be able to talk with everybody involved. And we can send Changless, who I really hope nothing ever happens to this networking event. Oh, my apologies. I think Susan Changless is actually a dude, despite being named Susan. So let's see what he can do here. That's one of those random things. Sometimes, you know, somebody will have their parents will have gone for the gender non-conforming first name. So yeah, what do we want to who do we want to meet here?
What can help us with the PSA? Will make that happen.
A lot of these can. I mean, the director's going to be directing it. The lead actress is going to be, she could be in it maybe, but the executive producer is ultimately the one who has to green light the PSA or like turn it down. So, and then there's this guy. There's a sketchy PA. They're kind of a wild card here. So I'm gonna click on all of them too. Yeah, this guy's the PA. We don't really know what he's about or what his role here is. The executive producer here...
She looks powerful.
Yes, Milbrid Marbly Tax Taker. Let's see. Yeah, so you can ask her... now that you have evidence for PSA, it would be a pretty easy test for you to request that the show have a PSA. So we could do that. to make the PSA happen.
Let's give it a shot.
Yeah. Now we have evidence that the common man loves PSAs. It's 100%. It's like pretty much a given.
Will we win?
Hey, yeah. I mean, I think getting a lengthy PSA approved is, I'd say that's winning the game. And you can also, we've been doing these big actions, but you can just kind of talk with all these people about stuff, and and these don't take time to do, so you can chat with people as much as you want to get to know them and stuff. And so you can kind of go ahead.
Oh, if the game's a real hit, and people really ask for it, maybe we can make like, the pure prismatic souls with Marbly Tax Taker,
Just like the full experience of just hanging out with Mildred Marbly Tax Taker.
Yeah, just who wouldn't want to kick back and down some mimosas with Mildred?
That's true.
A brunch special with her.
Yeah, the fans demand, high society action. All right, cool. Yeah, I think did we also learn from? I think Starnat told us, right? I think Starnat told us at the beginning, and that's why this option's here. That she had a kid who wants to be an astronaut. So we can also potentially offer to accept her kid to the space program in exchange for something. She also has, David was just talking about how we turned down the good time slider, and yet we still have 2 good time astronauts. That's, the hazards of making a game with a bunch of randomness.
There's so many good times.
Yeah. So I think we've already have the PSA approved, right? So we could offer to accept Good Time Fiona to the Space Academy in exchange for a rewrite to the show. Yeah, right. I mean, Morning Dew wanted us to approve a rewrite for the show, but I think, and Sternat wanted us to sabotage the show, but I think, I feel pretty true to our moral compass that neither of those is the correct direction, and just making a bunch of PSAs is the right thing to do here. So yeah, we can meet Callie Mooncalf, who's the lead actress on this show. You might recognize her from when she was on TV at the beginning of this playthrough. So she has mixed thoughts about the upcoming season finale of Space Wolves, because not only has the show been kind of like losing its way writing wise a little bit, but her character is like about to make a heel turn and like be revealed to be, evil, and also for her character arc to kind of get thrown out the window. So she's trying to be really diplomatic about it, but she's pretty upset about that. But what I bet would cheer her up is helping out with the PSA. Which we could ask her nicely, or we could blackmail her, but we don't have anything to blackmail her with at the moment, so we can just ask nicely. Yeah, so she's skeptical, but Changless has an absurdly correct charm stat, so luckily he can convince her. Yeah, taking the angle that she doesn't like it when people confuse her with her character, so, a PSA is a great chance for her to say something as herself. Alright, so now we've got the star actress to show up in our PSA. There's some, some shots at having the best PSA ever.
There's said.
Yeah. But, of course that's all kind of behind the scenes, and there weren't any, nothing that made ripples on the stage of nationwide entertainment news. It's marketing again, though. Let's demonstrate how if you don't buy anything, then he gets pissed off.
Ooh.
Yeah. So,
Poor
you
and
know,
worthless lifestyle.
now you know.
There's digs from inside track.
Yeah.
You know, I noticed that the shape of everything, there's no like squares in this game. Is this intentional?
You see, Flustria has 5 gods and 5 high priests, and 5 is the holy number of Flustria. And so everything in the game, because of that, has 5 sides. So there's a lot of pentagons in this game, in the UI and in the world too.
Very neat.
And that was not an easy thing to achieve. Enjoy the extra sides, please.
Yeah, I would say our game is
And there's
maybe pioneering the Pentagon punk movement.
in the neighboring rival country, are there just all squares everywhere?
Oh, you know, I imagine things are probably a little more sinuous and curved there because they were snake worshippers. Well, they used to be snake worshippers. They recently established a secular democracy and killed and ate their god. But, you know, I think that probably the curves would inform their architecture probably still. Also, we don't
I
see
think they
over
dropped
there.
some squares to troll the Flustrians, though.
Maybe, yeah. I think so. I kind of imagine, we don't actually see things over in Vladigar, but I imagine basically, like, everything looks and sounds a lot like Castlevania.
A lot of arpeggios in Vladimir.
Yeah. Alright, meanwhile, here's the conflict where, one of you... Oh, shit. Yeah, so Susan Changless, that's the danger of having an astronaut who's too good, is that Changless wants to start their own private space program and leave the FRSA. So we've got some options here. We can fire them and burn their program to the ground. We can ask them to rejoin, but also help out making the rocket. Or we can covertly erect a large glass wall 200 feet above their yard. Any votes here?
I think Changless had some pretty good stats, right? I mean, like, I've only ever answered one thing to this event when I've played, but we should check out, I think.
That's true. Changless is, you know, does have the absurdly high charm stat and has been carrying our space program this whole game. Yeah.
Yeah, but the procedure test would be tricky, though. But
That's true. I mean, we could try it.
let's try it.
Yeah. I mean, it's true.
Yeah, got a point.
So, yeah, Changless now will be, so it's only part-time that they're rejoining the program, so, you know, there's a chance they'll be unavailable on some days. But luckily, it's a pretty easy procedure test to see if they're, like, actually competent at space stuff. Okay, cool.
Nailed it.
Yeah. Right, yeah, it's click through the dialogue, but, you know, they're using the Pythagorean theorem to improve the rocket's design. And, yeah, we can get one more astronaut, so it's a good chance to look at some more of these randomly generated dudes. So we've got
Tip Trotter.
yeah, Tessa Pubsinger here, who's naturally aerodynamic and thus good at piloting. We've got Hank Numberkill, who has a magnet in his forehead, which is how birds navigate, and so it helps him navigate as well. And then we've got Vincenze O'Tip Trotter, who relies on funnel cakes as his only source of nutrition. And, you know, so despite what he says, it actually does make his fitness stat go down.
Oh, man. are we gonna go with the head or the heart? You know?
Yeah.
It's like,
I mean, like,
Hi, David.
look, everybody also has hidden traits, so who's to say that Vincenze Otip Trotter isn't the greatest astronaut of all? I'm cool going with it.
gotta take a chance with him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
Made
the other
Scarnett very
countries-
happy.
Yeah. Just look at that face. Okay, cool. Well, on our calendar here, we've got a couple days left. This would be the last, our last chance to kind of improve our PSA and talk to the other people. And then in 2 days would be the actual test where our astronauts' charm and procedure and fitness would be tested to see how the finale actually goes. But it seems like we're probably not going to have quite enough time in the stream to actually get there. So we'll save that for the you will have to discover it for yourself by playing the demo, which you can download right now from our Steam page during the week of LudoNarraCon.
Yes, let us know what you think. We would love to hear your thoughts. Definitely follow us on Twitter, join the Discord. We would love to hear what you have to think. And we'll have more opportunities to check out the game in the next few months before we officially launch.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts before we wrap it up?
Let's see. I don't know. Did you have another question or two for the remaining couple minutes that we have, or?
Dude, I have so many questions. I think maybe if you were going to have one of the traits in the games assigned to you at random, which one would you prefer to have, or which one would you really not want to have?
I mean, there are some very good traits. Most of the traits have a good thing and have good things and bad things about them. You know, there's just liabilities that go with any power or success. But I believe the one that doesn't is having a cool hat. But for me, there's some randomly generated combinatorial traits, and there's one that's whenever you're about to fail your jackpot is one that an astronaut had in our last playthrough, where whenever an astronaut's about to fail at something, he finds some money on the ground. And I feel like that would be helpful. It would kind of even out when you're having a bad day. You just get something nice to go with it. So yeah.
Very lucrative.
Yeah, David, what was
What about you, David?
What was yours?
I was inspired in this playthrough. I get lost easily, so maybe I could use a magnet on my forehead.
That's true.
Smooth things over.
It's helpful.
For sure.
It would make
I would pick.
Oh, I was just gonna say it might make
I would-
MRIs tough, but besides that, I think it would only have upsides.
Yeah, don't get too
Yeah.
close to screens for sure.
Yeah.
I would pick Maverick, which was something I had in one of my playthroughs, which would really help with piloting. But one of my astronauts who had Maverick wanted to look really cool and lit up a cigarette during takeoff and blew up the whole spaceship. So, give or take, but as long as I look cool,
Yeah,
that would
absolutely.
be great. As long as I don't get near spaceships, I think we're good.
Yes, that was one of our I don't know, kind of our first ideas for the game was space pilots are often presented as being maverick cool guys, but that would have some consequences probably somewhere down the line if they were in a spaceship. But yeah, it's always good to have a maverick on the team.
Awesome. Well, I think that wraps it up. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Mike and David, for leading us through the demo. I hope everyone enjoys it. You have until May 11th to play this exclusive demo for the event, and stay tuned for more streams and more news to come.
Yeah. Thanks so much for tuning in.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.